Hello, I'm Josh George. Big Ten football time 2021. Starting with the Eastern Division and doing Michigan State. Now, Michigan State, look, they've got a quarterback battle. Anthony Russo transferred in from Temple, and he will likely be the guy, but Peyton Thorne is not a bad quarterback, sophomore, tremendously talented. The biggest thing is Jalen Naylor is their top wide receiver, catches a lot of passes, and is going to be one of the most consistent guys in the Big Ten, and definitely probably one of the best this is probably the best receiving corps with one solid guy. So we know that there's one guy there. They only won one game or two games last year in a shortened season, and Mel Tucker has been working through a lot. He's happy to have a full offseason, to have a full spring game and things like that. But really just an average team. A lot of people see this team as a hard team to read. A lot of teams having them trend down. I think they'll have a lot of tough games and may not win a lot of their closer games this season. That's why I've got them at 4-8 and 2-7. Now to Maryland, the Terrapins. Priya Tagovailoa, Dan Enos, good combination, an O coordinator and quarterback. And he didn't look great. He only put up 3 points in that first game against Northwestern, but then put up 45 in the next game against Minnesota, then put up 35 against Penn State in a win before that game got canceled, but then only 11 and 24 in their last two games. So that offense hasn't been totally kicking. He hasn't lived up to the hype. He hasn't lived up to his name, and he transferred out of Alabama. We don't know if is it because he wants to be his own person or because he wasn't good enough to make it at Alabama. And Mike Locksley is only 6-17 here, and he's really counting on this offense, as this defense was 25th in passing defense. They were 85 overall. So, anyways, I've got them at 5-7 and 2-7 in conference play. Now, Rutgers. Rutgers has been a team that could climb up this year under head coach Greg Schiano. He is a decent coach. Now he's 71 and 73, but he has a lot of good coaching experience. They have 10 starters back on offense, and it's an offense that may have been 105th in the nation, but took Michigan to 3 overtimes, and frankly might find a way to win close games with lots of seniors. Their entire defensive line and linebacking corps starters is made up of seniors, so super experienced, especially on defense where it counts. They may find a way to win some of those closer games. I've got them 6-6 this year, 2-6 in conference play. Now, Michigan, the Wolverines. Farewell to Jim Harbaugh. Look, he has been a great coach in a lot of other places, but this is Michigan. This is the Wolverines. You know, it's hard to win there. You've got to be a great coach, you know, and you can really do great there. But there's a lot of pressure there, and he just hasn't been cutting it. I don't know if he has the speed this year. They only won 2 games last year. Look, I'll see you next year, Michigan. We'll have a talk, but this year I've got you 7-5 and 4-5 in conference play. Indiana to the Hoosiers. Tom Allen has this team rolling. They're picked as one of the best teams in the country, ranked in the top 20 in preseason polls, up from 41 last season. And Allen signed a $4.9 million contract. That's huge. And he has solid freshmen coming in Donovan McCullen and Cooper Jones to help shore up the quarterback spot, to help shore up the defense. He has several wide receivers to choose from. They'll be flowing in and out, as this past defense was 43rd in efficiency. That could be even higher this year. Could be one of the best passing offenses in the Big Ten. They were 7-1 against the spread this season, so a solid team to bet on, and a young, good team that's going to win the games that they're supposed to win. I've got them 8-4 and 6-3 this year. Now, Penn State, a team that really dipped with Franklin, and you forget Franklin had a Vanderbilt team ranked, so he is a great coach. Now, they are on a down year, and this is one of those teams that We don't know what happened in the locker room. We don't know if they were worried about not playing or what their mindset was last season, if there's a mindset change. Shane Clifford is a decent quarterback, so we know that the best position is, but will he be kept upright? They only have 2 starters back on the offensive line. That could be a huge question mark, along with who's the featured back. A team that was 55th in rushing could have trouble running the football, which is not good if you're in the Big Ten or a major conference. That's why I've only got them at 8-4 and 6-3 in conference play. Now, Ohio State. Buckeyes are picked by many to compete for the national championship, and they went to the national championship last season. And frankly, they're one of the most talented teams. I think 247 has them 4 in the 247 talent composite, and Rivals has them maybe number 1 or 2 or 3. They thumped Clemson in college football playoff 49-28 last year, and they had several games canceled. They wound up 5-0 in Big Ten play, and people were questioning, did they play enough games? I still don't know the answer to that. They did, however, thump Clemson. They do have Kevin Wilson, former tight end, as their offensive coordinator, and he has a lot of third down plays, a lot of curls to the tight end, a lot of ways to use the pass game on third down, and he has the best wide receivers in college football, probably the best in Chris Olave. But Master Teague's going to be a good featured running back, catching the ball out of the backfield this year, and Garrett Wilson may be the second best running back in all of college football. Now, with that being said, I've got them at 11-1, 8-1 in college football, taking a tough loss to a Nebraska squad, and I'll get to that when I'm talking about Nebraska. Now, to the Big Ten West, starting with the Illinois Fighting Illini. Now, they did change coaches from a big-named coach to a big-named coach, and their offense and defense will probably get almost totally revamped here. Brett Bielema is a decent coach, but he will revamp an offense that was 114th in passing offense and 111th in scoring offense. And they're 40th in the 247 talent composite. So that's huge. They're on an upward trend from 76th. So he did his job in recruiting and getting things squared away. He's 97-58. How far can he take this team? I think that answer is 4-8 and 2-7 in conference play. Minnesota, PJ Fleck, he's still kind of America's darling. Row the boat is still kind of a thing, even though he lost 2 games, including getting thumped by Michigan early on and then an overtime game in Maryland last season. And he still struggles to beat some of the bigger brands in the Big Ten, but he has 10 starters on offense, including Tanner Morgan, who the jury is kind of still out on how good he is, as they were 92 overall in passing offense last season. But we will see if the boat gets rowed. Really, it's a mindset thing for this team. I mean, they're very average talent-wise. I've got them at 6-6 and 3-6 in conference play. Now, Purdue. Everyone's telling me that Brom is on the hot seat, and I believe it. He's been calling his own plays and things. They beat Ohio State a few years ago. They've had some rough goes at it, and they only score. Their average margin was 6.3 points per game last year. That's bad. Their offense was terrible. Must get fixed. They have probably the second best wide receiver in the Big Ten, at least in the top 3, in Milton White. He's going to be a huge guy. Devin Bell is also a guy that you'll see with the ball. So a nice wide receiver room. He's going to have to do better in passing offense. I mean, they were 15th last year, but that quarterback's got to stay upright. They were 124th in rushing offense. So, and we'll see if it's Jack Plummer or somebody else at quarterback. And their defense is average, and an average defense usually means an average team. I've got them at 6-6 in the and 4-5 in the Big Ten. Nebraska, the Cornhuskers, Scott Frost. I'm going to predict straight up he gets fired this year. Look, Adrian Martinez has been a decent quarterback. He's a senior. There's going to be a lot of freshmen on this team, a lot of inexperience, and he just got blasted by Ohio State, canceled the game against Wisconsin, and then blasted by a Northwestern team that he should not have lost to. It was 13-21 was the final, but it was a blasting game. It looked like they never had a chance to win that one when you go back and watch film. Northwestern looked like the better team, and the black shirts and this defense was 50th in total defense, should be a top 10 defense in the country. So recruiting problems and things like that have really led to this team sinking. Something has to change. Their last bowl game was in 2016, and it was a Music City Bowl. I've got Nebraska 6-6 and 4-5, and maybe making a bowl game this year. Now, to Northwestern. Look, they have been a team that have been somewhat consistent and sometimes hard to read. They're ranked 34 in the preseason poll. They've only got 4 starters on offense and 5 starters on defense. So all of this is kind of based on Pat Fitzgerald's track record, and frankly, they've been decent. They went on a big winning streak, winning their first 5 games last season before they lost at Michigan State, had a game canceled, and then ended up winning a couple more games last year. So not bad last season. And they were 36th in turnover margin, 5th in scoring defense. So they had the defense to keep them in close games. The question is, can some of these new skill guys be good enough to win some of these closer games? That's what I don't know about. I've got them at 8-4 and 5-4 in conference play. Now to the Iowa Hawkeyes. I am really watching the Hawkeyes this year, trying to see when Kurt Prince is going to retire and see if Bob Stoops takes this job over. He is really close to 200 wins. He's 168 and 106, and they've been tight end Their big tight end Sam Laporta may be the best tight end in the Big Ten this year. And, a team that lost 2 games and then won the rest of their games, and they lost by a combined 5 points. Not bad. They also had one of the best defenses in the Big Ten, as they were 6th in scoring defense, and the best turnover margin, as they were tied for 6th in the nation in turnover margin with +9, plus 1.2 per game, and that's awesome. But 22 years there, he's got his son Brian as his coordinator. We'll see what happens with Iowa. I've got them at 10-2, 7-2 in conference play. Wisconsin, the Badgers, the surprise team of the Big Ten here. They've had the best defense in the Big Ten for 2 years in a row, at least second only to Ohio State, if they're second. But really good. They lost a good quarterback, but Graham Mertz could be a great quarterback as well. A lot of people have him as a top quarterback in the nation, top 5, top 2 or 3 in the Big Ten. So, decent there. They made it to the Duke's Mayo Bowl, where they smashed a Wake Forest team. But they are replacing that quarterback. And Paul Chryst and Jim Leonard are trying to revamp a defense and revamp an offense a little bit. So, I think they could struggle at times and will play some close games. I've got them finding a way to win a lot of their close games. But I've got them 11-1 and 8-1 in conference play. Now, that puts them in the conference title game. Ohio State, Wisconsin. I'm going to go with Ohio State because they're the most talented team in the league. I'm Josh George. This was my Big Ten preview.